You are not losing peace because life is unfair. You are losing it because you keep giving your mind to what you cannot control. Every day asks the same test. What is yours to judge, choose, and change, and what must be accepted with reason? This video speaks to the person who is tired of reacting, tired of excuse, and ready to live with honesty, restraint, and courage. Here we return to the work that matters: clear judgment, steady action, and a life ruled by virtue instead of impulse. If this is the path you want to keep walking, subscribe and stay with us for the same serious work, one day at a time. You will hear plain truth, daily discipline, and the hard lessons that make a mind steady, honest, and free. Each lesson will ask you to face yourself without excuse and to practice reason before desire daily. Number 1. Happiness begins with self-mastery. Look carefully at the life you are living, not the one you imagine, not the one you promise yourself will begin next week, but the one your actions reveal today. If your peace disappears whenever another person speaks against you, if your mood rises and falls with success and failure, if every inconvenience steals your patience, then what you call happiness is not yours at all. It belongs to chance. It belongs to the opinions of strangers. It belongs to circumstances that change without asking your permission. A life ruled by what lies outside your control can never produce lasting contentment because you have handed the government of your soul to the world. The first work of a disciplined person is not to change the world, but to reclaim authority over themselves. This is where happiness begins, not in gaining more, but in ruling what is already yours. Your judgments, your choices, your intentions, and your character remain within your reach unless you surrender them. No one can force you to envy. No one can command you to become bitter. No event carries anger inside it before your own judgment gives it that power. Every disturbance begins with the mind agreeing to be disturbed. Many people believe they are seeking happiness while spending every day strengthening the habits that destroy it. They chase comfort instead of character. They defend excuses instead of examining themselves. They spend hours correcting other people while leaving their own thoughts undisciplined. Then they wonder why peace never stays. The answer is simple. A neglected mind cannot produce a steady life. Disorder within always becomes suffering without. Ask yourself an uncomfortable question. How often do you obey your first impulse without examining it? Someone criticizes you and you answer immediately. A desire appears and you follow it without reflection. A difficulty arrives and you complain before understanding it. This is not freedom. This is obedience to impulse. A person who cannot pause before reacting does not govern themselves. They are carried wherever emotion decides to lead them. Self-mastery begins with one quiet moment. Between what happens and what you do, there is a space. It may feel small, but your entire character is built there. In that brief pause, reason has the opportunity to speak. Instead of asking, "How do I feel?" ask, "What is the right action?" Feelings arrive without invitation. Choices require your consent. Your happiness depends far more on the second than the first. Today, begin training this pause deliberately. When irritation rises, remain silent for a few breaths before answering. When praise reaches your ears, do not let pride rush ahead of reason. When temptation whispers that comfort is more important than duty, wait. Observe the desire instead of serving it immediately. Every time you refuse to become the servant of impulse, you strengthen the ruler within. You may discover something unsettling. The greatest obstacle to your peace is rarely another person. It is the stories you repeat inside your own mind. You imagine future failures before they exist. You replay old insults long after they have passed. You judge yourself according to standards that have nothing to do with virtue. Meanwhile, The present moment waits for your attention, and you waste it arguing with thoughts that have never earned your trust. Train your attention as carefully as an archer trains their aim. Ask yourself throughout the day, what am I thinking right now? If the thought concerns something outside your control, release it. If it concerns your own conduct, keep it close. This simple distinction clears away much of the confusion that exhausts the mind. Most suffering grows from trying to command what was never yours to command. Each morning, before the world begins making demands, prepare your character. Tell yourself that difficulties will come. Some people will misunderstand you. Plans will change. The body will grow tired. None of this prevents you from acting with honesty, patience, courage, or self-control. No circumstance has the authority to take virtue away from you unless you surrender it willingly. Enter the day expecting challenges instead of resenting them, and you will meet them with steadier judgment. Each evening, become your own examiner. Do not search for reasons why the day went poorly. Search for places where you abandoned your own principles. Where did impatience rule you? Where did fear make your decisions? Where did pride silence humility? Do not condemn yourself, but do not excuse yourself either. Honest correction is an act of strength. Every day you refuse to examine yourself is another day you remain unchanged. Practice choosing what is right, even when no reward follows. Speak truthfully when lying would be easier. Fulfill your responsibilities when no one is watching. Accept small discomforts without complaint. These moments appear ordinary, but they shape an extraordinary character. Self-mastery is never built through dramatic victories. It is forged through thousands of unnoticed decisions where reason quietly defeats impulse. Remember that happiness is not something waiting for you at the end of success, wealth, recognition, or perfect circumstances. It is the natural condition of a soul that governs itself well. A disciplined mind cannot be easily shaken because it has stopped demanding that the world satisfy it. Instead, it asks only one question in every situation. What kind of person will I choose to be now? Do not leave this lesson as another pleasant idea stored among forgotten thoughts. The next challenge you face today is your opportunity. When anger appears, practice restraint. When fear appears, practice courage. When comfort invites you to neglect your duty, choose action instead. Your life changes the moment your choices begin serving reason instead of impulse. No one else can begin that work for you. No future day is more suitable than this one. Govern yourself now, and you will discover that the strongest happiness has never depended on the world. It has always depended on the ruler you become within. Number 2. Accept reality without resistance. Look at the struggles that consume your energy each day. How many of them come from reality itself, and how many come from your refusal to let reality be what it is? A difficult conversation ends, yet your mind continues arguing long after the words have faded. A plan fails, and instead of adapting, you demand that the past become different. Someone behaves unfairly, and you spend hours wishing they possessed a character they never claimed to have. You believe you are fighting circumstances, but you are actually fighting existence itself. No one wins that battle. Reality does not ask for your approval before it unfolds. The seasons change without consulting your preferences. Time carries youth away without accepting appeals. Other people act according to their own judgments, not yours. Fortune gives and takes without explaining itself. None of these things become lighter because you resent them. Resistance adds a second burden to every hardship. The event arrives first. Your refusal to accept it arrives second. Often the second wound cuts deeper than the first. Many people mistake acceptance for surrender because they have never understood the difference. To accept reality is not to admire every event or abandon wise action. It is to stop wasting strength, denying what already exists. Only when you see a situation clearly can reason determine the proper response. A physician cannot heal a wound by pretending it is not there. Neither can you improve your life while insisting that facts should obey your wishes. Pay close attention to the language of your own mind. Notice how often it says, "This should not have happened." That single thought quietly declares war against the present moment. Replace it with a better question. Ask, "Since this has happened, what does virtue require of me now?" In that instant, your attention leaves fantasy and returns to the only place where meaningful action is possible. You suffer less from events than from the judgments attached to them. A delay becomes an insult because you decide it is disrespect. A mistake becomes proof of failure because you label it permanent. A criticism becomes humiliation because your pride refuses examination. Yet none of these meanings belong to the events themselves. They are conclusions your mind reaches with remarkable speed and very little evidence. If you do not question these judgments, they begin governing your life without permission. Train yourself to interrupt this process. Whenever something disturbs you, pause before naming it good or bad. Say only, "This has occurred," nothing more. Let reason arrive before opinion. The disciplined mind does not rush to decorate reality with unnecessary suffering. It waits, observes, and examines before deciding how to respond. This habit protects your peace because it prevents imagination from outrunning truth. Begin every morning by expecting the world to follow its own nature rather than your preferences. People will disagree with you. Some will act carelessly. Unexpected setbacks will interrupt carefully made plans. Your body will grow tired. Opportunities may disappear without warning. None of this is extraordinary. The extraordinary response is meeting each event without surprise, bitterness, or complaint. Prepared expectations create steady character. Throughout the day, practice separating the facts from the stories you create around them. The fact is that someone ignored your message. The story is that they no longer value you. The fact is that you lost an opportunity. The story is that your future has been destroyed. Facts deserve attention. Stories deserve examination. A disciplined person refuses to confuse one with the other. There will be moments when acceptance feels difficult because your desires demand a different world. In those moments, remember that reality has already chosen its course. Your choice concerns only your conduct. You may spend hours protesting what cannot be reversed, or you may devote that same energy to acting with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. One path drains the soul, the other strengthens it. Each evening, review the moments that unsettled you most. Ask yourself where you resisted what had already happened. Was your frustration born from the event, or from your insistence that life should have obeyed your expectations? Search honestly for every hidden complaint, every silent resentment, every demand that the world become easier instead of asking yourself to become steadier. This examination gradually exposes the habits that have quietly governed your days for years. Acceptance is not passive. It is the firm foundation beneath deliberate action. Once you stop arguing with reality, your mind becomes available for useful work. You stop asking impossible questions about why life refuses to match your desires and begin asking better questions about how to act well within the conditions you have been given. That shift changes the quality of every decision you make. The strongest person is not the one who bends reality through force. It is the one who remains faithful to reason regardless of what reality brings. Such a person cannot be easily broken because they have stopped demanding guarantees from a world that offers none. They meet fortune without arrogance and hardship without despair because they understand that character, not circumstance, determines the worth of a life. Do not postpone this practice until your next challenge. Begin with the very next inconvenience that enters your day. Let it remind you that life is not testing your comfort, but revealing your discipline. Accept what stands before you without resentment. See it clearly without distortion. Choose your response with calm judgment. In doing so, you stop resisting the order of the world and begin bringing order to yourself. That is where freedom quietly begins and where lasting peace finds a mind that no longer argues with what already is. Number 3. Rule your mind, not emotions. Consider how many decisions you regret were made in a single moment of ungoverned emotion. A sharp word spoken in anger, a promise abandoned because of fear, a responsibility ignored because comfort felt more appealing than duty. These moments seem small while they are happening, yet they quietly shape the direction of an entire life. The greatest danger is not that emotions exist. The danger is believing they deserve immediate obedience. A mind that follows every feeling cannot remain steady because feelings change more quickly than truth. Your emotions are not commanders, they are messengers. They arrive carrying impressions, not final judgments. The mistake begins when you confuse their arrival with an order that must be carried out. Anger announces that something appears unjust. Fear announces that something appears threatening. Desire announces that something appears attractive. None of these appearances are proof. They are invitations to examine, not commands to act. If you never question them, you surrender the authority that belongs to reason alone. Notice how swiftly the mind invents certainty. Someone fails to greet you, and resentment forms before you know the reason. A single setback convinces you that success has abandoned you. An uncomfortable conversation persuades you that peace has become impossible. Emotion paints a complete picture from a single brushstroke, then urges you to defend that picture as though it were reality itself. A disciplined person refuses to make permanent conclusions from temporary feelings. The true contest is rarely between you and another person. It is between the first impression and the judgment that follows it. In that narrow space, your character is tested. If you allow every emotional impulse to become a decision, your life will be directed by whatever feeling happens to arrive first. If you teach your mind to pause, examine, and choose deliberately, your life begins to reflect wisdom instead of impulse. Begin each morning with a simple commitment. Tell yourself that feelings will visit throughout the day, but they will not become your rulers. Resolve that no emotion will receive your agreement until it has faced the examination of reason. This quiet promise prepares the mind before circumstances attempt to disturb it. A person who expects inner challenges is less likely to become their servant. Throughout the day, practice asking one disciplined question whenever strong emotion appears. What judgment has produced this feeling? Do not ask how to eliminate the emotion. Ask what belief is sustaining it. Anger often rests upon the belief that others must behave according to your expectations. Anxiety often grows from the belief that your peace depends upon controlling what lies beyond your reach. Envy often reveals the belief that another person's fortune has diminished your own worth. Expose the judgment, and the emotion begins to lose its authority. There will be moments when your body reacts before your mind is ready. Your heart will race, your voice will tighten, your thoughts will rush toward conclusions. Do not mistake these sensations for failure. They become harmful only when you accept them without examination. Allow the body to experience what it experiences while keeping your judgment under careful guard. You are responsible for your ascent, not for every sensation that passes through you. Train yourself to delay important responses. When criticism reaches you, let silence become your first discipline. When praise tempts your pride, refuse to build your identity upon another person's approval. When disappointment invites despair, resist the urge to predict the future from a single event. Time gives reason the opportunity to see what emotion cannot. Many problems disappear when they are no longer fed by immediate reaction. Pay equal attention to pleasant emotions as well as painful ones. Excitement can become recklessness. Confidence can become arrogance. Satisfaction can become complacency. The disciplined mind remains watchful in every condition because excess often disguises itself as success. True stability does not depend upon feeling pleasant. It depends upon remaining faithful to sound judgment, regardless of changing moods. As evening arrives, return to yourself with honesty. Review the moments when emotion tried to seize control. Where did irritation shorten your patience? Where did fear silence necessary action? Where did pleasure persuade you to neglect what you knew was right? Do not search for excuses. Search for understanding. Every examined mistake becomes material for stronger judgment tomorrow. Every ignored mistake quietly prepares itself to return. Remember that your aim is not to become cold or unfeeling. The disciplined life does not reject human emotion. It places emotion beneath the guidance of reason, where it can serve instead of rule. Compassion guided by wisdom becomes justice. Caution guided by wisdom becomes prudence. Confidence guided by wisdom becomes courage. Emotion becomes destructive only when it claims authority that does not belong to it. The quality of your life will never rise above the quality of the judgments you consistently accept. If you guard your mind, your words become measured, your actions become deliberate, and your relationships become steadier because they are no longer driven by passing storms within. The world may remain uncertain, but your conduct no longer depends upon its changes. The next emotion that visits you is not your enemy, it is your opportunity. Let it remind you that every moment offers the same quiet choice. Will you become the servant of the first impulse or the guardian of your own reason? That decision, repeated day after day, shapes a character that cannot be easily shaken. Govern your mind with unwavering discipline, and your emotions will learn their proper place. When reason leads and impulse follows, the soul discovers a strength that no circumstance can overthrow. Number 4. Strength through daily discipline. Do not measure your strength by the rare moments when life demands something extraordinary. Measure it by what you repeatedly choose when no one is watching. Character is not revealed only in crisis. It is quietly built in ordinary hours, where every unnoticed decision either strengthens your reason or weakens it. The person who neglects these small moments should not expect firmness when greater trials arrive. A life without daily discipline is like a house left unattended. It does not collapse in a single day, but every day of neglect brings it closer to ruin. Many people wait for motivation before acting, as though the mind must first feel willing before it can do what is right. This habit places duty beneath emotion and allows passing moods to decide the direction of a life. Yet your purpose is not to obey whatever feeling visits you each morning. Your purpose is to act according to reason, whether enthusiasm appears or not. The value of a good action does not increase because it felt easy, nor does it diminish because it required effort. Ask yourself what governs your routine. Is it careful judgment or shifting preference? If your habits change whenever comfort calls, then comfort has become your master. If your responsibilities are postponed until the perfect mood arrives, then your own desires have taken the place of reason. Freedom is not doing whatever feels pleasant. Freedom is remaining faithful to what is right, despite the changing weather of the mind. Each sunrise offers the same quiet invitation. Before the demands of the day begin, remind yourself why you are rising. Not to chase praise, wealth, or convenience, but to practice excellence in your own conduct. Tell yourself that every conversation will test your patience, Every decision will test your integrity, and every inconvenience will test your self-command. Enter the day as someone preparing for honorable work rather than hoping for an easy path. Do not seek dramatic victories over yourself. Seek consistency. One truthful sentence spoken when deception would benefit you. One responsibility completed before entertainment distracts you. One unnecessary complaint left unspoken. One temptation refused because it weakens your character. These actions appear small, yet they shape a person capable of carrying greater burdens without surrendering their principles. Lasting strength grows through repetition, not spectacle. Your discipline should not depend upon favorable conditions. Anyone can remain calm when nothing opposes them. Anyone can act generously when abundance surrounds them. The real exercise begins when circumstances become inconvenient. When fatigue invites excuses, continue with your duty. When delay breeds impatience, preserve your composure. When another person behaves poorly, refuse to let their conduct dictate your own. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to practice the virtue that comfort never demands. Pay close attention to the promises you make to yourself. Each broken commitment teaches your mind that your own word cannot be trusted. Over time, this quiet betrayal weakens confidence more than any external failure. Make fewer promises if necessary, but honor every one you make. The disciplined soul is built upon reliability, beginning with the agreements it keeps with itself. There is another habit that quietly steals strength from many lives. It is the constant search for easier conditions before beginning necessary work. You tell yourself that tomorrow will provide more energy, more clarity, or more time. Yet tomorrow often arrives carrying the same excuses because the obstacle was never the day. The obstacle was an undisciplined will. Delay does not reduce difficulty. It merely increases the number of neglected duties waiting for your attention. Choose at least one deliberate hardship each day that serves no purpose except strengthening your character. Walk instead of seeking unnecessary convenience. Sit quietly with discomfort instead of escaping into distraction. Complete an unpleasant task before turning to enjoyable ones. These practices remind you that peace does not depend upon constant ease. They teach the mind that it possesses the ability to endure far more than comfort would have you believe. Throughout the day, return often to a single question: am I acting from principle or from impulse? This question exposes hidden motives with remarkable honesty. It reveals whether your decisions arise from thoughtful judgment or from the desire to avoid temporary discomfort. Every sincere answer becomes another step toward governing yourself with greater consistency. When evening comes, let the day become your teacher rather than your prosecutor. Examine your conduct with clear eyes. Identify where discipline remained firm and where convenience persuaded you away from your better judgment. Resist the temptation to defend your failures with clever explanations. The person who always justifies themselves never gives themselves the chance to improve. Honest recognition of weakness is not humiliation. It is the beginning of greater strength. Remember that discipline is not punishment. It is the steady care of your own character. Just as the body grows stronger through repeated effort, the rational mind becomes more dependable through repeated acts of self-command. Every disciplined choice leaves a lasting mark upon your soul, making the next right choice slightly easier and the next temptation slightly weaker. Do not wait for life to force resilience upon you through suffering. Build it willingly while circumstances still allow peaceful practice. Every day presents enough opportunities to train your judgment, your patience, your courage, and your moderation. Use them well. The strongest life is not created by a single act of greatness, but by countless ordinary moments in which reason quietly prevails over comfort. Live this day with deliberate discipline, and you will discover a strength that no passing hardship can take away. Number 5. Turn every obstacle into advantage. Think about the difficulty you are facing today. Your first instinct may be to ask why it has entered your life or how quickly it can disappear. Yet those questions leave you powerless because they keep your attention fixed on what has already happened. A better question is far more demanding. What quality of character can this obstacle call forth from me? The obstacle does not decide whether you become weaker or stronger. That decision belongs entirely to the way you meet it. Most people spend their lives negotiating with hardship. They ask for fewer problems, easier people, smoother plans, and kinder circumstances. Then they are surprised when the smallest setback unsettles them. A life protected from every challenge does not produce resilience, it produces dependence. If your peace survives only under favorable conditions, then it has never been true peace. It has merely been comfort wearing the disguise of strength. Every obstacle carries two parts. The first is the event itself. The second is the opportunity hidden within it. The event may be beyond your direction, but the opportunity belongs to your judgment. A delay invites patience. An insult invites self-command. A loss invites detachment from what was never permanently yours. A demanding task invites perseverance. The obstacle does not arrive empty-handed. It always offers material for the practice of virtue, but only the disciplined mind recognizes the gift. Notice how quickly complaint steals that opportunity. The moment you begin saying that life is unfair, your attention turns away from the one thing still available to you, your own conduct. Complaint promises relief, but delivers only helplessness. It convinces you that your progress depends upon changing circumstances instead of improving your response. In this way, a single obstacle becomes two burdens, the challenge itself and the bitterness you add to it. Train yourself to greet difficulty differently. When an unexpected problem appears, resist the urge to ask, "Why me?" Say instead, "Here is today's exercise." This single change in attitude transforms adversity from an interruption into instruction. Every challenge becomes part of your education. Every inconvenience becomes another chance to strengthen the qualities that cannot be purchased, borrowed, or inherited. Do not imagine that obstacles are reserved for moments of great crisis. They are already present in ordinary life. The slow line that tests your patience, the colleague who questions your judgment, the plan that unravels despite careful preparation, the family disagreement that tempts you toward resentment. These are not distractions from the disciplined life, they are the disciplined life. If you overlook these daily opportunities, you will spend years waiting for wisdom while ignoring the very lessons that create it. Begin each morning by expecting resistance rather than ease. Tell yourself that today's events will offer chances to practice courage, moderation, fairness, and endurance. This preparation prevents surprise from ruling your mind. You stop seeing hardship as an error in the order of life and begin recognizing it as the field where character is cultivated. A prepared mind wastes little energy wishing for another reality. Whenever frustration begins to rise, pause and separate the obstacle into two parts. Ask first, what lies beyond my authority? Release every answer that belongs to fortune, other people, or the past. Then ask, what remains mine? There you will always find something worth governing, your judgment, your speech, your effort, or your integrity. No obstacle can remove these unless you abandon them yourself. Be especially careful when success is blocked. The undisciplined mind often believes that failure in one pursuit is failure as a person. This confusion leads to despair because it ties your worth to outcomes that were never fully yours to command. Your true task has never been to guarantee results. It has always been to act with excellence regardless of results. Once you understand this, disappointment loses much of its power to disturb you. At the close of each day, examine the obstacles you encountered. Do not ask whether they were pleasant or unpleasant. Ask whether you used them well. Did difficulty sharpen your patience or expose your impatience? Did criticism deepen your humility or awaken your pride? Did delay strengthen your perseverance or encourage surrender? Every obstacle leaves evidence of the condition of your character. Study that evidence carefully, for it reveals where further training is needed. There will be days when the burden feels heavier than your confidence. On those days, remember that strength is not measured by the absence of struggle. It is measured by refusing to abandon reason while struggle remains. You do not need to enjoy hardship. You need only refuse to let hardship corrupt your conduct. That choice preserves your freedom, even when circumstances refuse to cooperate. The greatest obstacle you will ever face is the belief that obstacles should not exist. Abandon that illusion, and you free yourself from endless disappointment. Life has never promised uninterrupted ease. It offers something greater, countless occasions to become wiser through every challenge that appears. The person who understands this no longer fears resistance because they know every trial contains the possibility of greater character. Do not wait for easier conditions before committing yourself to the disciplined life. Begin with the next obstacle that stands before you. Meet it without complaint, examine it without panic, and answer it with deliberate virtue. In time, you will discover that what once seemed to block your path has quietly become the very means by which your character was strengthened. The obstacle never prevented your progress. It was the path your reason was waiting to walk. Number 6. Seek virtue above comfort. Ask yourself a question that most people avoid because they already fear the answer. What guides your choices each day? The desire to become better, or the desire to remain comfortable? The answer is not found in your intentions, it is revealed by your habits. If you repeatedly choose the easier path over the right one, then comfort has quietly become your highest value. A life shaped by that pursuit may feel pleasant for a moment, but it leaves the character weak, dependent, and easily shaken when ease inevitably disappears. Comfort has a persuasive voice because it rarely asks for everything at once. It asks only for a small compromise today. Delay the difficult conversation. Ignore the responsibility until tomorrow. Remain silent when honesty would be inconvenient. Protect your pride instead of admitting your mistake. Each decision appears harmless on its own, yet together they train the soul to prefer convenience over integrity. The greatest danger is not a single act of weakness, but the gradual habit of placing immediate relief above lasting excellence. The disciplined person understands that the value of an action is not measured by how pleasant it feels, but by whether it strengthens the character. Speaking truth may bring discomfort, yet it preserves honesty. Showing patience with someone difficult may test your endurance, yet it protects justice. Fulfilling your duty while tired may demand effort, yet it builds reliability. These choices are often demanding because virtue asks something from you that comfort never will. It asks you to become worthy of your own respect. Observe how often discomfort influences your judgment without your awareness. You avoid a necessary task because it appears exhausting. You withhold forgiveness because resentment feels easier than humility. You refuse correction because admitting error unsettles your pride. In each case, the obstacle is not the external situation. The obstacle is your unwillingness to endure temporary discomfort for the sake of lasting character. Until you recognize this pattern, you will continue blaming circumstances for weaknesses that begin within. Every morning, before the world begins presenting its temptations, make a quiet commitment to yourself. Resolve that today you will measure success by the quality of your conduct rather than the ease of your experience. Expect moments that test your honesty, your restraint, your fairness, and your courage. Welcome those moments as opportunities to prove that your principles are stronger than your preferences. A life devoted to virtue does not seek the absence of difficulty. It seeks excellence within difficulty. When faced with a choice, ask a question that cuts through confusion. Which path strengthens my character? Not which path feels easier. Not which path earns quicker approval. Not which path avoids discomfort. The answer may require sacrifice, patience, or effort, but it will always leave your soul in better condition than the easier alternative. The mind becomes clearer when it learns to judge actions by virtue instead of convenience. Practice choosing small acts of discipline before greater trials demand them. Finish what you begin, even when enthusiasm fades. Listen carefully before defending yourself. Offer fairness even to someone who has treated you poorly. Resist unnecessary pleasures that weaken your self-command. These practices may appear ordinary, but they gradually transform your deepest habits. Character is shaped less by dramatic decisions than by the repeated choices no one else notices. There will be moments when comfort disguises itself as wisdom. It will tell you that avoiding conflict is peace, when in truth it is fear. It will call indulgence self-care, when in truth it is surrender to appetite. It will persuade you that lowering your standards is acceptance, when in truth it is neglect of your duty. Learn to question these voices. Reason does not ask what feels pleasant, it asks what is honorable. Throughout the day, pay attention to the excuses your mind creates. They often sound reasonable because they protect what you already desire. Just this once. It does not matter. No one will know. These quiet thoughts rarely concern the action alone. They concern the kind of person you are becoming. Every excuse accepted makes the next compromise easier. Every excuse rejected strengthens the authority of your own judgment. As evening arrives, examine your day without seeking comfort from flattering conclusions. Ask yourself where you chose convenience instead of virtue. Did you avoid responsibility because it demanded effort? Did you remain silent because courage felt costly? Did you seek approval at the expense of honesty? Let these questions reveal the places where your character still requires training. Honest reflection is more valuable than comfortable self-deception because only truth allows genuine improvement. Remember that external comfort is uncertain. Health changes, wealth comes and goes, reputation rises and falls according to opinions you cannot govern. If your happiness depends upon these things, your peace will remain fragile. Virtue alone belongs entirely to your own choices. No person can steal your integrity without your agreement. No hardship can remove your justice, your moderation, your courage, or your wisdom unless you willingly abandon them. The strongest life is not the one surrounded by endless ease. It is the one anchored in principles that remain firm, whether fortune smiles or withdraws. Such a person does not fear discomfort because they understand its proper place. Temporary hardship may challenge the body, but only poor judgment weakens the soul. Once you understand this, your priorities begin to change. You stop asking whether life is comfortable enough and begin asking whether your conduct is worthy. As you leave this moment, do not search for greater comfort. Search for greater integrity. The next difficult decision that appears before you is not an interruption of your progress. It is the very place where your character will be shaped. Choose what is right, even when it demands sacrifice. Remain faithful to reason when comfort offers an easier bargain. In that quiet decision, repeated day after day, you build a life that cannot be measured by pleasure because it rests upon something far more enduring, the unwavering practice of virtue. Number 7. Detach from praise and blame. Consider how much of your day is quietly shaped by the opinions of other people. Before you speak, you wonder how your words will be received. Before you act, you imagine the approval or criticism that may follow. Even when you are alone, unseen voices continue directing your thoughts. You call this caution, but often it is dependence. A mind that waits for permission from public opinion has surrendered its freedom long before it realizes it. Praise and blame appear to be opposites, yet they often hold the mind with the same chain. If admiration lifts your spirit beyond reason, criticism will cast it down with equal force. The person who needs constant approval has already accepted that someone else's judgment carries greater authority than their own. This is not strength. It is the quiet habit of placing your peace in hands that do not belong to you. Ask yourself an honest question. Why does a stranger's opinion disturb you so deeply? Is it because their words have changed your character, or because you have allowed their judgment to become more important than your own examination? Another person's approval cannot make you more just. Their disapproval cannot make you less honest. Your character is formed by your choices, not by the voices surrounding them. When you forget this, you begin chasing appearances instead of cultivating virtue. Many people spend years constructing an image rather than a life. They become careful performers, always adjusting themselves to fit the expectations of the moment. They hide mistakes to protect their reputation. They remain silent when truth demands courage. They seek admiration instead of integrity because admiration feels immediate while character grows slowly. Yet an admired life without virtue is empty. It depends upon opinions that change as quickly as the wind. The disciplined mind asks a different question before every action. Not, will people approve, but, is this the right thing to do? That question brings your attention back to the one standard you are responsible for maintaining. Public opinion belongs to others. Your conduct belongs to you. Confusing these two has led countless people away from wisdom while convincing them they were succeeding. Begin each morning by preparing yourself for misunderstanding. Some people will judge your intentions without knowing them. Others will praise you for qualities you do not possess. Neither response should govern your mind. Resolve before the day begins that you will welcome correction when it reveals truth, but you will not surrender your peace to opinions that merely reflect another person's perspective. This preparation prevents both vanity and resentment from taking root. When praise comes, receive it with moderation. Do not reject kind words, but do not build your identity upon them. Ask yourself whether your actions truly deserve the admiration offered. If they do, continue acting well without becoming proud. If they do not, let the praise remind you to remain humble. Approval becomes dangerous only when it persuades you that the work of improving yourself is complete. When blame arrives, examine it with equal discipline. Do not rush to defend yourself. Listen carefully before deciding whether the criticism contains something useful. If it exposes a genuine fault, accept the lesson without resentment and correct your conduct. If it is false or unfair, let it pass without allowing bitterness to enter your character. In both cases, your responsibility remains the same. Govern your own response rather than attempting to govern another person's judgment. Throughout the day, notice how often your decisions are quietly influenced by the desire to be seen in a certain way. Perhaps you speak more than necessary because you wish to appear knowledgeable. Perhaps you remain silent because you fear disagreement. Perhaps you avoid difficult duties because failure might damage your image. These habits reveal an attachment not to virtue but to reputation. The disciplined life requires the courage to let appearances take second place to principles. There is great freedom in accepting that you cannot command another person's opinion. You may speak honestly and still be misunderstood. You may act justly and still be criticized. You may serve faithfully and still remain unnoticed. None of these outcomes diminish the worth of a virtuous action. Once you understand this, you stop measuring your life by applause and begin measuring it by the consistency of your character. At the end of each day, become your own witness. Ask yourself whether you acted with wisdom, fairness, courage, and self-restraint. Let this examination carry greater weight than compliments received or insults endured. If your own conduct was honorable, there is no need for excessive pride when praised or excessive sorrow when blamed. Your conscience becomes steadier because it rests upon careful self-judgment rather than changing public opinion. The person who governs themselves cannot be easily manipulated. Praise cannot tempt them away from humility. Blame cannot frighten them away from what is right. They remain steady because they have chosen an authority greater than popularity. Their actions are guided by reason, not by the hope of admiration or the fear of criticism. Such stability cannot be purchased because it is earned through constant inner discipline. As you continue through this day, do not ask how others will evaluate your choices. Ask whether your choices deserve your own respect. Speak truthfully, even if it wins no applause. Act justly, even if no one notices. Accept correction without wounded pride, and reject false accusations without anger. In doing so, you reclaim the freedom that belongs to every disciplined soul. Your peace no longer rises with praise or falls with blame. It remains where it has always belonged, within a character that answers first to reason and refuses to be governed by the changing voices of the crowd. Number 8. Live fully in the present. Look honestly at where your mind spends most of its time. It wanders into memories that cannot be altered, or races toward futures that have not yet arrived. While your body stands in the present, your attention lives somewhere else, carrying burdens that are either finished or imagined. Then you wonder why peace feels distant. You have abandoned the only place where your judgment, your choices, and your virtue can actually be exercised. A scattered mind cannot live a disciplined life because it is forever absent from the moment where discipline is required. The present is often rejected because it does not match your expectations. You replay old mistakes, hoping regret will somehow rewrite them. You rehearse future problems, believing worry will prevent them. Neither effort produces wisdom. One keeps you chained to what no longer exists. The other enslaves you to what may never happen. In both cases, you surrender today's opportunity to serve thoughts that cannot improve today's conduct. Ask yourself a simple question whenever your thoughts begin to drift. What duty belongs to this moment? Not tomorrow's duty, not yesterday's failure, only the responsibility that stands before you now. This question gathers the wandering mind and returns it to solid ground. The disciplined person does not attempt to carry the weight of an entire lifetime at once. They carry the task that reason has placed directly before them. Notice how often unnecessary suffering begins with imagination rather than reality. A conversation that has not yet occurred becomes a source of fear. A mistake from years ago becomes evidence that you can never improve. A possibility becomes a certainty simply because your mind repeats it often enough. Yet none of these thoughts changes the present moment unless you allow them to direct your judgment. A trained mind distinguishes between what is happening now and what is merely being imagined. Each morning, remind yourself that this day is complete in itself. You are not asked to solve every future problem before the sun sets. You are asked to think clearly, act justly, speak honestly, and meet whatever arrives with self-command. When tomorrow becomes today, it will bring its own responsibilities. Borrowing them early only weakens your ability to fulfill the one already in your hands. Practice giving your full attention to whatever duty lies before you. If you are listening, then truly listen instead of preparing your next reply. If you are working, then work without allowing the mind to wander into imagined rewards or feared failures. If you are resting, then rest without filling the moment with guilt about what cannot be done right now. A divided mind wastes energy because it tries to live in several moments at once, while reason can act only in the present. Be especially watchful when regret begins speaking with the voice of wisdom. Regret often pretends to be useful while endlessly repeating what cannot be changed. Learn instead from your mistakes, then release them. A lesson carried forward strengthens character. A mistake carried forever weakens it. The past should become instruction, not a permanent residence for your thoughts. Likewise, do not allow anticipation to become anxiety. Planning is an act of reason because it prepares for what may come. Anxiety is an act of imagination because it suffers before suffering exists. Learn the difference. Prepare wisely for the future, but refuse to experience it before its time. The future will demand enough from you when it arrives. It does not require today's peace as an advance payment. Throughout the day, pause regularly and ask yourself where your attention has wandered. If you find yourself trapped in memories, return to the action before you. If you discover yourself inventing future disasters, return to the choice available now. This simple practice gradually teaches the mind that peace is found not by escaping the present, but by inhabiting it fully with reason. As evening approaches, examine not only what you accomplished, but how you inhabited the day. Were you truly present in your conversations, your work, and your responsibilities, or were you constantly pulled away by thoughts that served no useful purpose? Did you meet each hour as it arrived, or did you spend most of it resisting the time you were actually given? Honest answers reveal where your attention has been investing your life. Understand that your life is not made of years waiting somewhere ahead. It is made of moments, each offering a fresh opportunity to choose wisely or foolishly. Lose enough moments to distraction, resentment, or unnecessary worry, and you eventually lose the quality of your entire life. Guard enough moments with careful attention, and your character grows stronger without needing extraordinary events to shape it. There is quiet strength in giving yourself completely to the present task without demanding certainty about everything that follows. Such a mind is not careless about the future or indifferent to the past. It simply refuses to abandon today's responsibility for thoughts that cannot be acted upon. This is not a smaller way of living. It is a more faithful one, because it keeps your reason where it can still make a difference. As you leave this lesson, do not promise yourself that you will become disciplined someday. Someday does not exist. There is only this conversation, this decision, this action, this breath, and this opportunity to govern yourself well. Let your attention return to the moment that is actually yours. Meet it with clarity instead of distraction, with purpose instead of hesitation, and with virtue instead of excuse. A well-lived life is never built somewhere else. It is built here, one present moment, governed wisely after another. Number 9. Build an unshakable inner fortress. Many people spend their lives trying to secure themselves by controlling what has never belonged to them. They seek certainty through wealth, reputation, influence, or the approval of others. Yet each of these can disappear without warning. When they do, the person who built their peace upon them discovers that they were never truly secure. The strongest protection is not found in the world around you. It is built within your own character. Until you understand this, you will continue repairing walls that were never strong enough to defend your peace. Look carefully at what disturbs you most. A careless remark unsettles your confidence. An unexpected loss shakes your hope. A change in circumstances fills you with fear. These events appear powerful, but their strength comes from the judgment you attach to them. The world knocks at the gates of your mind every day, Yet only the thoughts you willingly admit can take possession of your inner life. Your first responsibility is not to silence the world. It is to guard the entrance to your own judgment. An unshakable inner life is not created by avoiding hardship. It is created by refusing to let hardship dictate your character. Storms test the strength of a building because they reveal whether its foundation was carefully laid. Difficult moments serve the same purpose in your life. They uncover what has been quietly governing you all along. If fear immediately commands your choices, then fear has become your ruler. If anger takes control whenever you are challenged, then anger occupies the place that belongs to reason. Begin each day by reminding yourself where your true security resides. It does not depend upon favorable events, loyal friends, stable finances, or perfect health. These things deserve gratitude when they are present, but they remain outside your authority. What remains yours is your ability to judge wisely, choose honorably, and endure difficulties without abandoning virtue. As long as these remain intact, nothing essential has been taken from you. Guard your thoughts with the same care that a wise guardian protects a city. Not every impression deserves entry. A fearful prediction may knock at your mind, but you are not required to welcome it. A resentful thought may demand attention, but you are not obligated to entertain it. Learn to ask every impression the same question. Will accepting this thought strengthen my character or weaken it? This simple examination prevents countless disturbances from taking root. There will be moments when loneliness, disappointment, or uncertainty seek to persuade you that you have been abandoned by fortune. Resist the temptation to measure your condition by external circumstances alone. Instead, ask whether you still possess the ability to act with honesty, courage, moderation, and justice. If the answer is yes, then your greatest possession remains untouched. The disciplined person knows that the state of the soul matters more than the condition of the surroundings. Practice withdrawing from unnecessary mental noise each day. Set aside a few quiet moments to examine your own judgments without distraction. Notice which thoughts have been exhausting your strength. Notice which desires have been leading you away from reason. Notice where fear has exaggerated dangers that do not yet exist. This daily return to yourself is not an escape from responsibility. It is preparation for meeting responsibility with a clearer mind. Do not confuse emotional isolation with inner independence. Building an inner fortress does not require withdrawing from other people or refusing meaningful relationships. It requires refusing to make your peace dependent upon what others choose to think, say, or do. Care deeply for others, fulfill your duties faithfully, and act with kindness, but never surrender the government of your soul to decisions that belong to someone else. Throughout the day, whenever something attempts to disturb you, pause before reacting and ask, has my character actually been harmed? Most of the time, the answer will be no. Your comfort may have been interrupted, your plans may have changed, your preferences may have been denied. Yet your ability to respond with wisdom remains fully available. Remembering this truth restores authority to the place where it belongs. Each evening, inspect the condition of your inner fortress with complete honesty. Where did you allow another person's opinion to invade your peace? Where did anxiety persuade you to abandon sound judgment? Where did desire convince you that external success mattered more than integrity? Do not perform this examination to condemn yourself. Perform it to strengthen the walls that were found to be weak. Every clear observation becomes another stone laid upon a firmer foundation. You will never create complete safety in the external world. Fortune changes too quickly for that. But you can create remarkable stability within yourself by practicing the same principles every day. Honest judgment instead of impulsive reaction. Purpose instead of distraction. Virtue instead of convenience. steadiness instead of emotional dependence. These are the materials from which enduring strength is built, and they remain available regardless of circumstance. There will always be voices inviting you to place your security somewhere outside yourself. They will promise that peace lies in greater success, greater recognition, or greater control over life. Listen carefully, and you will notice that these promises never end. Once one desire is satisfied, another immediately appears. A mind that seeks safety through external gain becomes permanently restless because its foundation is always shifting. Choose a different path. Build your life upon what cannot be taken without your consent. Let reason become your guide, virtue your standard, and disciplined judgment your constant companion. Then whatever fortune brings, whether ease or hardship, praise or criticism, gain or loss, you will remain rooted where no circumstance can overthrow you. The strongest fortress is not built from stone. It is built from a mind that has learned to govern itself so faithfully that nothing outside it possesses the power to rule within. Number 10. Leave life better than found. One day your work will end. Your voice will fall silent, and the places you once occupied will belong to someone else. This is not a reason for sorrow, it is a reason for clarity. The time given to you has never been yours to keep, it has only been yours to use. The question that deserves your attention is not how long you will remain here, but what kind of person you choose to be while you are. A life is not measured by its duration, but by the quality of its character and the goodness it leaves behind. Many people live as though existence were a private possession. They ask only what they can gain, protect, or enjoy. Their days revolve around personal advantage, and every decision is weighed against comfort or recognition. Yet a mind occupied entirely with itself becomes smaller with every passing year. The disciplined life asks for something greater. It asks you to understand that you are part of a larger human community and that your conduct should strengthen it rather than burden it. Look honestly at the influence you carry into the lives of others. When you enter a room, do you bring patience or irritation? When disagreements arise, do you increase confusion or restore fairness? When someone depends upon you, do they find reliability or excuses? These questions matter more than titles, possessions, or reputation because they reveal whether your character serves the common good or merely your own preferences. Do not imagine that leaving life better than you found it requires extraordinary achievements. Greatness often hides within ordinary duties performed with unwavering integrity. A truthful word offered when deception would have been easier. A promise kept despite inconvenience. A moment of restraint when anger sought control. A fair decision when selfishness offered quicker reward. These acts may never receive public recognition, yet they quietly improve the world because they strengthen the moral fabric of every relationship they touch. Begin each morning by remembering that every person you meet carries struggles unseen by your eyes. This awareness should not make you sentimental. It should make you just. Speak with honesty instead of cruelty. Listen before judging. Fulfill your responsibilities without seeking applause. You cannot govern another person's choices, but you can ensure that your own conduct contributes more wisdom than disorder to the lives around you. Throughout the day, ask yourself whether your actions are creating value beyond your own immediate satisfaction. Are your words helping others think more clearly or merely displaying your own importance? Are your decisions guided by fairness or by personal advantage? Are you leaving your workplace, your family, and your friendships stronger through your presence or weaker through your neglect? The disciplined person measures success by the quality of their contribution rather than the size of their reward. There is a subtle form of selfishness that often disguises itself as self-protection. It whispers that your duty ends with your own peace of mind. Yet genuine inner discipline naturally expresses itself through honorable action toward others. A well-governed soul does not withdraw from responsibility. It becomes more capable of serving because it is no longer distracted by vanity, resentment, or endless concern for personal comfort. Be careful not to postpone your best conduct until some imagined future. Many people believe they will become more generous when they possess more wealth, more patient when life becomes easier, or more courageous when fear disappears. Character does not suddenly appear with changing circumstances. It is revealed through the choices available today. If you neglect small opportunities for justice and kindness now, greater opportunities will pass unused as well. At the end of each day, examine the mark you left upon the hours you were given. Did your presence reduce unnecessary conflict or increase it? Did you fulfill your obligations faithfully or search for excuses? Did you treat others as fellow human beings deserving fairness, or merely as obstacles to your own desires? These questions direct your attention toward the true measure of a meaningful life. They ask not what happened to you, but what flowed from you into the world. Remember that you cannot control how long your influence will be remembered. You cannot command how others will speak of you after you are gone. Those things belong to judgments beyond your authority. What remains entirely yours is the opportunity to act rightly in this moment. Let others decide what they will remember. Your task is simply to ensure that every action worthy of remembrance begins with your own deliberate choice. The world does not become better through grand intentions that never become disciplined actions. It improves whenever one person refuses to answer anger with anger, dishonesty with dishonesty, or selfishness with selfishness. Every virtuous decision strengthens the invisible bonds that allow communities, families, and friendships to endure. Never underestimate the quiet influence of consistent integrity. It reaches further than reputation because it changes lives through example rather than appearance. As this lesson comes to an end, resist the temptation to admire these ideas without living them. Wisdom that remains unpracticed changes nothing. Leave this moment resolved to improve whatever lies within your reach today. Speak more truthfully, judge more carefully, serve more faithfully. Correct your own faults before condemning those of others. Let every encounter leave a little more justice, patience, and honesty than it found. When your final day eventually arrives, you will not need the comfort of knowing that life was easy. It will be enough to know that wherever reason gave you the opportunity to act, you left the world better because you first governed yourself well.